Hi, my name's Brittany Ireland, and my white paper was on well water contamination. What is the issue? There are two main sources of water that our community relies on. They can either come from public city water or our privately maintained wells, depends on the location of where you live. There are about 43 million people who are roughly 15% of the U.S. population that rely on private wells for their main source of drinking water. These are more common in rural populations, especially on farmlands. There are rules and regulations that are regulated by the Environmental Protection Agency for public water to be tested. However, there's not any laws, or it's not even deemed necessary for homeowners to get their wells tested and treated regularly. Background: how can your well become contaminated? In rural areas, your well should be located strategically based on the land you live on. Wells should be in a position so that rainwater runs away from it. If enough rainwater managed to flow into your well, there are harmful chemicals and bacteria that live along the land's surface that can seep into the water, and the rainfall can affect it. There are also different minimum recommendations that say how far your well should be located from your septic tanks, livestock yards, septic leach fields, petroleum tanks, manure storage, and fertilizer storage, and the manure stacks, which this picture shows you how far each thing should be from your well. So that was the placement of wells. There are also different chemicals that can infect your water, which is arsenic and radon. That varies depending on the land that surrounds the well. Failed septic tanks or systems are another major source of a contaminant. However, microbial contamination is the biggest and highly unsafest contaminant when it comes to your well water. There are three types of microbial contamination. It could be bacteria, protozoans, or viruses. And these organisms are so small that the human eye will not be able to see them unless under a microscope. There are the different types of bacteria that can be found in your water are Shigella, E. coli, Vibrio, and Salmonella. Viruses that are harmful if found in water are the Norwalk virus and rotavirus. And protozoans is Entamoeba, Giardia, and Cryptosporidium. And Giardia and Cryptosporidium are the most commonly found pathogens in water because they have more of a resistance to being disinfected. There's some symptoms of these. They can cause a great deal of symptoms, actually. The symptoms include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps. They're more serious if found in children, babies, and the elderly because of their immune system. And the next steps are that if any of these symptoms are experienced by members of your household or even members of your communities who also have wells, you should get your well tested. Solutions. In order to reduce the risk, there are several steps to accomplish. These include proper education, properly constructed wells, routine testing, and treatments when needed. There are multiple studies and surveys that show how few well owners actually get their well tested. And there should be I believe there should be more marketing campaigns that promote different methods of well testing and maintenance. There should be more fundings because there's been studies that found that most people who don't get their wells tested can't actually afford it. So they should fund more studies to figure out the reasoning why some well owners don't keep up with maintenance. One of the studies could analyze different options in being able to provide financial assistance to low-income well users who struggle to afford the cost of maintaining their wells. A last study could be created to see if a testing treatment or subscription would be beneficial based on the cost and how much it would save users over time. One other solution to reduce private well contaminants is to make sure that wells are constructed correctly when they're built. You should always pick a constructor that should be legit, have appropriate license and certificates, and they should be able to tell you what the OSHA standards are for building a well. And lastly, the government should enforce stricter regulations when it comes to well construction. Some states have already made stricter regulations, but a lot of states don't have any in place. An example is Colorado. In 2013, the state of Colorado put Regulation 43 into place, which put more standards and regulations in place when it comes to site evaluation, design, construction, and maintenance of the wells. Most importantly, well owners should test their water routinely and treat it as needed. It is recommended by the CDC that well owners test their well system every spring to ensure that no mechanical errors have occurred. They also recommend that they test their well once a year for the major contaminants such as coliform bacteria, nitrates, total dissolved solids, and pH levels. Testing and treating well water is the only way to guarantee that you are ingesting safe, drinkable water that is free from any bacteria, chemicals, or any unwanted materials. These are just a few pictures. The bigger one are signs that your well water is contaminated. Scale or scum, unclear turbid water, green stains, brown red stains, or cloudy water that appears upon standing. And the other two are just pictures I found. The last one in the corner is an auger plate, which they could take a sample of your water and streak it onto this plate, and it will grow whatever bacteria is actually in your water. Conclusion: the quality of our wells in our rural area is crucial to maintain in order to keep the health risk of individuals reduced and ensure that they have access to safe, drinkable water. These are my references.